a finished journal that I'm going to flip through. But before I do that, I'm going to flip through this one, which I've already flipped through before. But it's just so fabulous that I think it deserves to be flipped through again. This was I called it my Use It Up journal from 2012, I believe. And this I made when I started cleaning out my image binder. You know, I have the 3-ring binders where I keep different images from that I cut out of magazines, or I print off the internet, or I buy on collage sheets, you know, all those different things I keep in these big binders. And I had stuff in there that had been in there for like 10 or 15 years. And after that long, it just kind of begs the question, okay, am I really going to use it? There's always a chance, but oh good grief, you know, they would just be antiques by the time I got around to using them. So I decided to just put them all in a journal, in this journal. And that way I've still got them because I love them. You know, they're images that I just love to look at. They make me happy. So I'm not throwing them away, but I got them out of my image binders so that I could make room for new things, because, you know, they're getting pretty fat. So that's what's in here. There is a few bits and pieces from leftover projects, a little bit of painting, coloring, artwork, but mostly just cut and paste. And this is still one of my favorite journals to sit down and flip through. You know, each page just makes me happy. There's just something fun on every page, and I love it. I'll do another one like this at some point, you know, maybe when my image binders get too fat again, I'll go through them again, because this is just a whole little book full of happiness. And sometimes, you know, like this, I just love advertisements, really good advertising, and I'll pull them out of magazines, and I may not ever even intend to use it on a journal page of any kind, but I just love the picture. So what do you do with that? You stick it in your Use It Up journal. That's what you do. Some of these are, this was a page out of another journal that I never really finished, and it just quit speaking to me, and I didn't know what to do with it, so stuck it in there. This journal started out as a Moleskine cahier. It's Moleskine soft cover journals that they're similar to a composition book. They come in different sizes. This is the size that's about the same as a composition book, but it's very well made. I've got all kinds of stuff tipped in. I added a bunch of extra pages, and I've never had one of these fall apart. So I really like it. That's what I've used here. See, this is good advertising, and I want to keep that, but what do you do with it? You know, it just takes up space if you keep it in your binder where you're using things. And where do you keep the things that you're not ever going to use? And why would you keep them if you're never going to use them? Well, because you're crazy, that's why. and you're my friend, because that's so me. So yeah, don't judge. It's just, it is what it is. It ended up, you know, working out because I love this book. Some of the pages have a color theme, like this was lots of blue stuff. So I put these little tabs on those pages that have a color theme. And I tipped in extra pages. There's my red page. So this is just a happy, happy book. I started another one. This is where I'm going. I do have a reason for this. Probably around the beginning of this year. And it's similar to this, but different in a lot of ways. Where this is all cut and paste, or the majority is cut and paste. My new one was mostly different media, paint and markers and stuff like that. And So there's a lot of differences, but it still has that same feel that this one does. That really just kind of messy, makes no sense feel to it that just really appeals to me. You know, I love flipping through an art journal where each page is a particular, you know, theme or message or whatever. That's great, but for some reason this makes me happier when the pages have no theme. You know, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just lots of randomness stuck together, and this is what I really love to look through. And I find that this is the kind of thing that I go back to and I look at over and over again. That was just a sheet of scrapbook paper right there, which is just beautiful. And then this image, I think I printed out off the internet, and look how she fit just perfectly on that couch. You know, that just made me happy. I had no really need to make a whole journal page out of it. I mean, I suppose I could have, but that's the kind of thing that I put in here, things that I just want to keep for no reason. So this is my very, very happy Use It Up journal, which did help me to use up a lot of images that were not getting used. Butts are funny. Butts make me happy. I don't know. Don't judge me. So that is my Fat Happy Use It Up journal, which sort of inspired this next one, which I've been working on this year. But this one is one that I have kept at my wherever I'm working, and I use it to clean off my paintbrushes, my stencils. Sometimes I'll use it as a paint palette, you know, just squeeze paint out onto a page. I will test different products or techniques if I'm not sure, if, you know, is that going to make a good stencil? I don't know. I'll test it in here. That's what this book is. But as it got finished, I went back through it and started kind of adding more art on the page. It's not really more art, just more color. I have been in this mode recently where I don't really want to make a something. I don't want to make a journal page. I don't want to make a card. I don't want to make an embellishment or an altered something. But I do want to just put color down on something. You know, like backgrounds, I guess, is what I'm really wanting to make, because I'm all about backgrounds. I love backgrounds. So what I've been doing, I took this book when it was, you know, probably about, it was finished about up to here, I think it was. And then I sat down and I went through and just started watercoloring on some of the pages. And I just used, you know, this is like a sit on the couch thing. You don't have to be at your art room for this, because I just filled up a bunch of water brushes and then just got a inexpensive watercolor. This is just a nice set of watercolors. You can use whatever brand you've got. They don't have to be fancy, and you don't need a whole lot of colors. Just some basic ones. And then I just used my water brushes and I went through these pages and just started slapping color down on them. Some of them had quite a bit of color because I would use pieces of drop paper and, you know, whatever. Pieces of a background for another page. If I was using a stencil and had some paint out I needed to use up, I would do that on there. But like this page right here was pretty much plain until I went in and just started blobbing on watercolor. And I used a lot of color. You know, I like really vivid watercolor. Occasionally I'll do a pastel, kind of washy looking watercolor, a look that you would more associate with them, because when I think of watercolors, I think of light, kind of a washed out, soft colors. That's what I'm trying to say. But that's not really what I like to look at. I like to look at this. You know, this makes me happy. This mess makes me happy. So that's what I did. Some of the pages I just added a little bit of color or a little border Some I didn't even touch at all, but it has just made me happy to sit on the couch and with my little brush pens and some watercolors and just go through here and play and just put color down for no reason at all. You know, this is not going to be a finished journal page. It's not going to be a background paper. It is what it is, basically. And a lot of these had a lot of acrylic paint already on them because I wiped my brushes off on these pages. But some were kind of plain, and there I've gone in with a pen here and there and did a little bit of doodling. But this recently has just really been fun for me. That was testing out a stencil with some modeling paste. And see, like that little image, I found it in a magazine. I'm not ever going to use that. I love it because it's so cute, but I really can't think of a need to use it on any kind of a journal page. So I stuck it in here so I can have it forever and ever. But it's not taking up space in my other binder, So there are some of those type things in here. This was pretty plain until I went in with the watercolors. Same with these. This one I did more, soft pastel. This was a paper towel I had used to wipe my brushes off with. I just glued it down and went in with the watercolors. That was some bubble wrap. I had leftover paint and the bubble wrap out, so I used that in here. But it really was almost therapeutic for me to go through here and just color with no expectations, just seeing what would happen if I mixed this color with that color, and can I use these two together, and what else can I do with watercolors? What happens if they're really runny? What happens if they're kind of dry? That kind of thing. So, and I did kind of find a couple of techniques for them that I really liked. That was gloves with extra paint on them, in case you're wondering. Oh, this one, I was using some alcohol inks, and the book was open, so I just squirted the ink onto here and then used it as my palette, and then it dried on there. It was brown, and then I went back in, that was last night, and did the purple and then the yellow and orange, and I call it melanoma because to me it looks just like a mole that's gone bad. If you see this mole on your back, go to the doctor. And it does, it's a melanoma, I'm pretty sure. This is a piece of deli wrap that I had a bunch of paint already on it, and I glued it down and then just added more paint, just 'cause. This actually is one of my favorites. It looked like this. It was some ripped up pieces of a drop paper. I think it was like a finger painting pad that I used. Glued it down, and it looked just like this, and then I went in with some black watercolors and then a few different colors, and I love the way that looks. So see that one, like I would use this technique on a real something, and I would never have discovered this technique had I not been doing this. So, and I have a few more pages. I don't know where I'm going with this. We were watching The Omen last night, and I started drawing a grid. I don't know why. Maybe I'll go in and put a different color in each box or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, and that one I had extra paint, so I put it there. And this is what I've been doing a lot of. I'm loving this really kind of mottled watercolor thing, and I did a couple of larger sheets because I had them out. But I love the way that looks. And this one I think I'm going to use may cover this with this sheet because it makes me happy. And then more just random watercoloring. And that's it. So, yeah, I've still got a room to do a few more little things, but for the most part, this book is finished. And this was a Moleskine. This is one of their traditional, just a regular Moleskine notebook. And the paper in it is, really it's too thin for painting, so I had gone through and glued, 2 or 3 together through the whole book. I use Moleskines a lot for my doodling. They're my favorite doodle book, but I use the sketchbook, which has the heavier paper. The notebook has the thin text weight paper. So I had glued several together, and you can see I've used a lot of wet media on here. I mean, every page just has a ton of wet stuff seeping through, and it's holding up great. I'm really surprised. I thought I would have to go in and start duct taping before now, but Moleskines are generally very well made. So this is my latest little book, Oh Happiness, for the year. And I'm going to start a new one for 2015, but I'm not going to use a Moleskine. I have something different in mind that I'll show you in another video later on. But I do always want to have some kind of a blank paper or book or something next to me when I'm doing a project so that I can clean my brushes off. Sometimes I'll use my drop paper. I'll just wipe my brushes onto there, or my stencils or whatever, but other times I like to put them in a book. And now that I see how happy this makes me, I'm going to be more intentional about that, about putting my extra paint and scraps into a book of some sort. So, if you're in the mood to just make marks or throw down some color without having to worry about having a finished piece or a lovely background at the end of it, you can do something like this. Make yourself one of these, and then just sit on the couch with some watercolors and just put the paint on the paper and see what happens. And, if you go into it with no expectations and you're not worried about, ruining all your expensive watercolor paper with your practice techniques, then it's very freeing. So, yeah, I really like this. So, that is the end of that, and I'll be back, I don't know, in the next couple of days with some other idea. I don't know what, but I'm bound to have one. So for now, the end.